Fish have been swimming in Earth's waters for over 500 million years. Long before flowers bloomed on land, before birds took flight, before the first footstep was made on solid ground, fish were already dancing through ancient seas. They are among our planet's most enduring residents, having weathered ice ages, asteroid impacts, and countless changes that reshaped the world above the waves. In the Cambrian seas, when most of Earth was still an alien landscape, early fish-like creatures were already perfecting the art of underwater flight. Their descendants today carry the memory of 500 million years in their genes, swimming through the same blue spaces their ancestors knew. When you watch a fish glide through water, you're witnessing a form of life so ancient and so perfectly adapted that it has barely needed to change its fundamental design across eons of time. The ocean's depths are filled with fish that create their own light. In the perpetual darkness of the deep sea, where sunlight has never touched, fish have learned to paint the water with their own gentle glow. This soft light, called bioluminescence, is not borrowed from above but created within their own bodies through quiet chemical reactions. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures like tiny lanterns to attract their meals. Flashlight fish blink in patterns beneath their eyes, creating underwater Morse code in the abyss. Lanternfish drift through the midnight zone like living stars, their light organs twinkling along their sides in perfect rows. This light is cold and efficient, wasting no energy as heat, designed by millions of years of evolution to shine softly in the endless night. In these depths, fish don't wait for the sun. They carry their own quiet illumination, turning the deepest ocean into a galaxy of gentle, living light. Seahorses are the only fish where fathers give birth to their young. Among the swaying seagrass meadows and coral gardens, seahorses live a life that challenges everything we think we know about family roles in nature. When it's time to create new life, the female transfers her eggs to a special pouch on the male's belly. There, surrounded by warmth and nutrients, the eggs develop safely while the father tends to them with devoted care. For weeks, he carries this precious cargo, his pouch expanding as the tiny seahorses grow within. When the time comes, he releases dozens of perfectly formed miniature seahorses into the gentle current, each one no bigger than a grain of rice, but fully capable of independent life. The male seahorse experiences something no other fish father ever will: profound connection of carrying and nurturing life within his own body. In their underwater world of grace and patience, seahorses have quietly rewritten the rules of parenthood, showing us that nature's most beautiful arrangements often come from the most unexpected places. Fish can recognize themselves in mirrors, suggesting they possess self-awareness. In the quiet laboratories where scientists study the mysteries of animal consciousness, some fish have surprised researchers by passing what's called the mirror test. When given the chance to look at their own reflection, certain species like wrasses and groupers seem to understand that the image looking back at them is themselves, not another fish. They examine marks placed on their bodies that they can only see in the mirror, suggesting a level of self-recognition that was once thought to belong only to a few intelligent mammals. This discovery opens a gentle window into the inner lives of fish, hinting that beneath their serene exterior may lie a form of consciousness more complex than we ever imagined. When a fish looks into its reflection and recognizes itself, it suggests that swimming through our oceans are creatures with an awareness of their own existence. their own place in the underwater world they call home. The hearts of fish beat in perfect rhythm with their swimming. Unlike the complex four-chambered hearts of mammals, fish hearts are elegantly simple, with just two chambers that work in quiet harmony with their movement through water. As a fish swims, its heart rate naturally synchronizes with the rhythm of its fins and the flow of water over its gills. During gentle cruising, the heartbeat slows to a peaceful cadence. During bursts of speed, it quickens to match the increased demand for oxygen. This synchronization is so precise that you could almost use a fish's swimming pattern to predict its heartbeat, or its heartbeat to understand its movement through the water. It's a perfect example of how evolution has fine-tuned every aspect of aquatic life, creating creatures whose very pulse is in harmony with their environment. In this underwater world, even the most basic functions of life flow in rhythm with the gentle currents and tides. Parrotfish create tropical beaches by eating coral and excreting sand. On coral reefs, where colors dance in dappled sunlight, parrotfish perform one of nature's most industrious and peaceful transformations. These gentle giants spend their days methodically grazing on coral, using their strong beak-like mouths to scrape algae from the reef's surface. In the process, they inevitably consume small amounts of coral skeleton, which their powerful digestive systems break down completely. What emerges from this process is something magical: fine, white sand. A single large parrotfish can produce up to 840 pounds of sand each year, quietly contributing to the very beaches where humans walk and children play. The pristine tropical sands that feel so soft beneath bare feet are largely the patient work of these underwater gardeners, who spend their lives maintaining the reef while simultaneously creating the paradise shores we love. In their gentle, methodical way, parrotfish are both janitors and architects of the tropical world, turning hard coral into the softest foundation for island dreams. Some fish migrate thousands of miles, following invisible pathways in the ocean. Beneath the surface of our vast seas run highways invisible to human eyes, ancient routes followed by fish for millions of years. Pacific bluefin tuna begin their lives in the warm waters near Japan, then embark on journeys that can span the entire Pacific Ocean, guided by magnetic fields, water temperature, and chemical trails that create a map only they can read. Atlantic salmon leave their birth rivers as juveniles, spend years feeding in the far reaches of the North Atlantic, then return with stunning precision to the exact stream where they were born, sometimes traveling thousands of miles to reach home. These migrations are not random wanderings, but purposeful journeys along paths carved by generations of travelers before them. The ocean holds memory in its currents, its temperatures, its very chemistry, and fish have learned to read these subtle signs like an ancient language written in water. Their journeys remind us that the ocean is not empty space, but a living network of invisible roads connecting distant shores. Fish sleep, but they do it with their eyes open. In the gentle rhythm of day and night that penetrates even the deepest waters, fish enter their own version of peaceful rest. Unlike mammals who close their eyes and enter deep unconsciousness, fish maintain a quiet state of reduced awareness while remaining alert to their surroundings. They hover motionless in the water column or rest against coral formations, their breathing slowed, their responses dulled, but their eyes always open to the world around them. Some species wedge themselves into crevices or bury themselves in sand for protection during these vulnerable hours. Parrotfish create mucus cocoons around themselves, like underwater sleeping bags that mask their scent from predators. This open-eyed rest allows them to remain connected to their environment, ready to respond to threats while still giving their bodies and minds the restoration they need. In their aquatic world, where danger can approach from any direction, fish have mastered the art of sleeping while staying gently alert to the world around them. The oldest living fish may be over 500 years old. In the cold, deep waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic, Greenland sharks move through their world with an almost supernatural patience. These ancient mariners grow incredibly slowly, adding perhaps a centimeter to their length each year. And this glacial growth rate hints at lifespans that dwarf human experience. Scientists studying these remarkable creatures have found individuals that may have been swimming in these waters since before Shakespeare wrote his plays, before the Pilgrims reached America, before the telescope was invented. These sharks have witnessed the rise and fall of empires from their underwater realm, living libraries of oceanic history that continue to glide silently through the depths. Their slow metabolism and cold environment combine to create a life stretched across centuries, making them some of the longest-lived vertebrates on Earth. In their unhurried passage through time, Greenland sharks remind us that the ocean operates on a completely different timescale than our brief human lives. Cleaner fish provide spa services to other ocean creatures. In the warm, clear waters of coral reefs, some of the ocean's most peaceful relationships unfold at cleaning stations, underwater spas where fish line up patiently for grooming services. Cleaner wrasses, small and nimble fish with an eye for detail, have built their entire lives around providing this essential service to their larger neighbors. They establish territories at specific coral heads or rocky outcrops, advertising their services to passing fish through gentle swimming patterns and bright colors. Giant groupers, normally formidable predators, hover motionless while tiny cleaners pick parasites from their skin and gills. Manta rays glide in slow circles above cleaning stations, allowing small fish to remove dead skin and irritating hitchhikers from their massive forms. These cleaning relationships are built on absolute trust, with predators temporarily setting aside their hunting instincts to receive care from fish they could easily swallow. The cleaner fish, in return, enjoy a steady supply of food and protection from their grateful clients. These underwater spas represent some of the most cooperative relationships in the animal kingdom, where mutual benefit creates harmony in the reef community. Fish communicate through colors, sounds, and electrical signals. The ocean is far from silent, filled instead with a complex symphony of communication that most humans never hear. Fish have developed elaborate ways to share information with their neighbors, from the visual spectacle of rapidly changing colors to subsonic calls that travel for miles through the water. Parrotfish and wrasses flash brilliant patterns across their scales to signal everything from territorial boundaries to romantic interest. Groupers produce booming sounds with their swim bladders that can be heard and felt by other fish across the reef. Some species, like elephant fish, navigate and communicate using electrical fields generated by specialized organs, creating an invisible network of signals in the water around them. Dolphins and whales may capture our imagination with their complex songs, but fish were the ocean's first musicians, developing sophisticated acoustic communication systems millions of years before marine mammals appeared. In this underwater world of constant conversation, fish share information about food sources, danger, territory, and social bonds through a rich language of sight, sound, and electrical sensation that turns the sea into a living network of connection. Many fish species form lifelong partnerships that rival the most devoted human relationships. In the coral gardens where sunlight filters through crystal water, some fish have discovered that two hearts swimming as one create a stronger current through life than either could manage alone. French angelfish pair for life, gliding through their reef territory side by side, their movements synchronized like underwater dancers who have practiced together for years. When one finds food, it calls to its partner with gentle color changes and subtle movements. When danger threatens, they face it together, their bond stronger than fear. Butterfly fish couples work as a team to defend their small territories, taking turns to rest while the other stands guard. If one partner is lost, the surviving fish often remains alone for the rest of its life, swimming through familiar waters, with a solitude that speaks to the depth of their connection. These partnerships form not from necessity, but from choice, fish selecting their companions and remaining faithful through seasons of abundance and scarcity alike. In their quiet devotion, these paired fish remind us that love exists in forms we might never expect, flowing through the ocean's depths with the same constancy as the tides themselves. Fish can change their gender when their communities need balance. In the fluid world beneath the waves, some fish have evolved one of nature's most remarkable solutions to the challenges of reproduction and social harmony. Clownfish, those bright orange residents of sea anemones, live in small family groups where size determines role and gender. The largest fish is always female, ruling over her small domain with gentle authority. When she dies or disappears, something extraordinary happens. The largest male begins a gradual transformation, his body slowly changing until he becomes the new matriarch of the group. This process is not rushed or violent, but unfolds with the patient rhythm of the sea itself. Similarly, some wrasses begin life as females, spending their early years in large schools. But as they grow and mature, the most dominant individuals, transform into males, developing bright breeding colors and establishing territories. This fluidity allows fish communities to maintain perfect balance, ensuring that reproduction can continue regardless of the random losses that ocean life inevitably brings. In their adaptable approach to gender roles, these fish demonstrate nature's infinite creativity in solving the puzzle of survival. The patterns on fish scales tell stories of their lives like tree rings. Each scale on a fish's body is a tiny diary, recording the passage of seasons and the challenges overcome in quiet, microscopic detail. As fish grow, their scales add new layers in response to their environment, creating rings that scientists can read like the pages of an autobiography. During times of plenty, when food is abundant and conditions are favorable, the rings are wide and evenly spaced. During harsh winters or periods of scarcity, the rings grow narrow and tight, marking lean times survived through patience and endurance. Some scales even record specific events. A narrow ring might mark a period of illness, while an irregular pattern could indicate the stress of spawning or migration. The oldest fish carry the most complete stories, their scales becoming libraries of environmental history that tell us about changes in ocean temperature, food availability, and ecosystem health over decades. When you look at a fish swimming peacefully through its underwater world, you're seeing not just a living creature, but a swimming archive of oceanic memory. Each scale a chapter in a story written in the language of growth and survival. Fish have been observed using tools with the same ingenuity as land animals. In the shallow waters where coral meets sandy bottom, some fish have discovered that the right tool can transform a difficult task into an effortless one. Wrasses have been seen carrying clams and sea urchins to specific rocks, using these hard surfaces as anvils to crack open their prey with remarkable precision. They remember the locations of the best anvils and return to them repeatedly, showing not just tool use but planning and spatial memory. Archerfish, masters of precision, shoot jets of water to knock insects off overhanging branches, effectively using water itself as a tool to extend their hunting range beyond the water's surface. Some groupers have learned to collaborate with moray eels, using complex head movements and color changes to direct their serpentine partners toward hidden prey, turning communication itself into a hunting tool. This tool use reveals a level of problem-solving ability that challenges our assumptions about fish intelligence, suggesting that beneath their serene exterior lies an active, creative mind capable of innovation and learning. These underwater engineers remind us that intelligence takes many forms, and the ocean's quiet inhabitants may be far more clever than their peaceful demeanor suggest. The smallest fish in the ocean could fit through the eye of a needle. In the vast expanse of tropical seas lives the dwarf goby, a fish so tiny it seems almost impossible that such a creature could navigate the challenges of ocean life. Adults measure barely 7 millimeters in length, smaller than your fingernail, yet they live complete and complex lives in their miniature scale. These tiny fish dart between coral polyps and hide in crevices that larger fish cannot even see, inhabiting a micro-world where a single coral head becomes a vast landscape of territory and adventure. Despite their size, dwarf gobies are fierce defenders of their tiny territories, displaying to rivals and courting mates with the same intensity as their much larger cousins. Their small size allows them to exploit food sources unavailable to bigger fish, feeding on microscopic organisms that drift between coral branches like underwater plankton. Watching these minute fish navigate their world is like peering into a hidden dimension of ocean life, where being small is not a limitation, but a perfectly adapted way of being that opens doors to spaces and opportunities that giants could never reach. Fish can taste the water around them, reading chemical stories in every drop. While we experience the ocean as a vast blue expanse, fish swim through a world rich with chemical information that tells them stories about everything in their environment. Their bodies are covered with taste buds, not just in their mouths, but along their sides, fins, and even their lips, turning their entire surface into a sophisticated chemical analysis system. They can taste the fear pheromones released by injured fish, alerting them to danger from predators they cannot see. They can detect the chemical signature of their home reef from miles away, following this molecular breadcrumb trail through seemingly featureless open ocean. During spawning season, fish can taste the readiness of potential mates, reading complex chemical messages that tell them about health, fertility, and genetic compatibility. Some fish can even taste the approach of weather changes, detecting the subtle chemical shifts that occur before storms disturb their underwater world. In this ocean of information, every current carries news, every drop of water tells a story, and fish navigate through their world by reading the chemical poetry written in the sea itself. Deep-sea fish have evolved to live under pressure that would crush surface creatures instantly. In the deepest trenches of the ocean, where the weight of miles of water above creates pressure over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, fish have learned to call this crushing environment home. Their bodies are marvels of adaptation, with special proteins that remain stable under extreme pressure and cell membranes designed to function in conditions that would destroy surface life. These deep-sea residents have no swim bladders, the gas-filled organs that help shallow water fish control their buoyancy, because any gas would be compressed to nothing at such depths. Instead, they achieve neutral buoyancy through specialized fats and oils that don't compress under pressure. Many deep-sea fish are soft and gelatinous, their bodies yielding to the pressure rather than fighting it, like underwater meditation masters who have learned that flexibility is stronger than rigid resistance. When brought to the surface, these fish cannot survive the dramatic pressure change. Their bodies adapted so perfectly to the deep that they are forever bound to their high-pressure world. In the crushing depths where few creatures can survive, these fish have found not just a way to exist, but to thrive, turning the ocean's most extreme environment into a peaceful home. Some fish create elaborate nests with the same care as the most devoted architects. In the sandy shallows and rocky crevices of the ocean floor, male fish often become underwater contractors, building homes that would impress any engineer. Male jawfish excavate burrows in the sand, working tirelessly to create perfectly round tunnels that they line with shells and small rocks, creating an elegant entrance that announces their presence to potential mates. Stickleback males weave elaborate nests from plant materials, binding strands of algae together with a natural glue secreted from their kidneys, creating secure nurseries for their future offspring. Some damselfish clear circular patches of reef, removing unwanted algae and debris to create pristine gardens where they tend their eggs with the dedication of underwater farmers. These construction projects can take weeks to complete, with males working from dawn to dusk, pausing only to eat and rest. The finished nests serve multiple purposes. They protect developing eggs from predators, provide optimal water flow for oxygen circulation, and demonstrate to potential mates the builder's fitness and dedication. In their patient construction work, these fish architects remind us that the drive to create beautiful, functional homes exists throughout the animal kingdom, manifesting in forms as diverse as coral gardens and sandy burrows. Fish have internal calendars more precise than many human-made clocks. Living in a world where seasonal changes are subtle and gradual, fish have developed internal timing mechanisms of extraordinary accuracy that help them navigate the rhythms of ocean life. Many species can sense the gradual changes in day length throughout the year, using this information to time their migrations, spawning, and other crucial life events with precision that amazes scientists. Pacific salmon, scattered across thousands of miles of ocean, somehow synchronize their return to coastal waters within narrow windows of time, their internal calendars telling them exactly when conditions will be optimal for their journey upstream. Grunion fish in California can predict the highest tides months in advance. Timing T. Hare beach spawning to coincide with the exact moments when waves will carry them furthest up the sand. These biological clocks are influenced by multiple environmental cues: the angle of sunlight filtering through water, subtle temperature changes, the phases of the moon reflected in tidal patterns, and even magnetic field variations that most creatures cannot perceive. The precision of these internal timepieces allows fish to make life or death decisions about when to reproduce, when to migrate, and when to prepare for seasonal changes, turning the seemingly chaotic ocean into a perfectly orchestrated symphony of biological timing. Some fish gather in schools so massive they can be seen from space. In the open ocean, where horizons stretch endlessly in every direction, millions of individual fish come together to form living clouds that transform the very color of the sea. Sardines, anchovies, and herring create schools so vast that satellites orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth can detect their silver shimmer moving through the blue depths like underwater weather systems. These gatherings are not random crowds, but highly organized societies where each fish maintains perfect spacing from its neighbors, creating a fluid sculpture that moves as one mind across the ocean. The school breathes and pulses like a single living entity, expanding and contracting in response to currents and threats. Each fish simultaneously, an individual and part of something infinitely larger than itself. When predators approach, the school doesn't scatter in panic, but flows around the danger like water around a stone, creating temporary gaps that close seamlessly once the threat has passed. From the perspective of space, these massive schools appear as gentle shadows drifting through the sea. But up close, they reveal themselves as one of nature's most sophisticated examples of collective intelligence. Millions of small minds working together to create something beautiful and powerful beyond imagination. Fish can survive being frozen solid in Arctic waters, then swim away when they thaw. In the polar regions where winter locks the sea in ice for months at a time, Arctic fish have mastered one of nature's most remarkable survival strategies. Their blood contains special proteins that work like biological antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from forming inside their bodies even when water temperatures drop below the normal freezing point. Some species can survive having up to 60% of their body water turn to ice, entering a state of suspended animation where their hearts slow to barely detectable beats, and their breathing becomes so shallow it seems they have stopped living altogether. But when warmer currents eventually return, or when spring begins its slow transformation of their world, these fish gradually thaw from their frozen sleep, their hearts resuming their steady rhythm, their gills beginning to process water again, their eyes slowly regaining focus on their icy world. This remarkable ability allows them to survive in waters so cold that other creatures would perish within minutes, turning the harshest marine environments into peaceful refuges where life continues its quiet persistence, even under conditions that seem impossible for survival. The electric fish of the Amazon can generate enough power to light up a Christmas tree. In the murky waters of South American rivers, electric eels glide silently through their world, carrying within their bodies a power plant that would be the envy of any engineer. These remarkable creatures can generate electrical discharges of up to 800 volts, enough energy to power several household light bulbs simultaneously. But they use this incredible ability not for human purposes, but for the elegant solutions evolution has provided for underwater life. Low-level electrical pulses serve as their navigation system, creating an invisible map of their surroundings in waters too murky for sight to be useful. They can sense the electrical signatures of other living creatures, detecting the faint bioelectrical fields that all animals produce, turning the water around them into a living radar system. When hunting or defending themselves, they can increase their electrical output dramatically, stunning prey or deterring predators with precisely controlled shocks. This electrical sense is so refined that they can distinguish between different types of objects, different species of fish, even different emotional states in other creatures based on their unique electrical signatures. In their electrically charged world, these fish navigate through dimensions of sensation that humans can barely imagine, swimming through fields of invisible energy that connect them to every living thing in their aquatic environment. Fish in coral reefs follow daily commutes more regular than rush hour traffic. As the sun rises over tropical reefs, an organized migration begins that rivals the complexity of any major city's transportation system. Surgeonfish leave their nighttime shelters in the reef's protected crevices and travel to specific algae gardens where they will spend their day grazing, following the same routes each morning with the punctuality of subway trains. Parrotfish emerge from their mucus sleeping cocoons and swim to their designated feeding territories, while cleaner wrasses open their service stations at specific coral heads, ready for the day's first customers. As evening approaches, the pattern reverses with the same orderly precision. Day shift fish return to their sleeping quarters, while nocturnal species begin their own commutes to nighttime hunting grounds. This daily rhythm is so consistent that scientists can predict where specific individual fish will be at any given time of day, their schedules more reliable than many human appointments. These commutes serve important purposes beyond just finding food. They prevent overgrazing of any single area, distribute nutrients across the reef ecosystem, and maintain the complex social relationships that keep the coral community functioning smoothly. In their orderly daily travels, reef fish demonstrate that even in the seemingly chaotic underwater world, life flows according to patterns of remarkable organization and purpose. Some fish change colors faster than a chameleon can blink. In the dappled light of coral reefs, where shadows dance and colors shift with every wave, fish have perfected the art of instant transformation. Flounder can match the pattern of sand, rocks, or coral beneath them in less than 2 seconds, their skin becoming a living mirror of their surroundings with detail so precise it includes individual grains and textures. Cuttlefish relatives in the fish world can cycle through dozens of different patterns in rapid succession, their bodies becoming living billboards that display everything from aggressive warnings to romantic invitations. The secret lies in specialized cells called chromatophores, tiny organs filled with different colored pigments that can expand or contract under direct control from the fish's nervous system. Unlike human emotions that might show gradually on our faces, fish can instantly broadcast their feelings, intentions, and identity to everyone around them through spectacular displays of color and pattern. A single fish might appear silver and peaceful one moment, then flash bright yellow with black stripes to warn away intruders, then shift to deep blue with subtle spots to blend with the reef background. This rapid color communication creates an underwater world where every fish is constantly sending visual messages to its neighbors, turning the reef into a living canvas where stories of competition, cooperation, and survival are painted in brilliant, ever-changing hues. Fish can detect earthquakes before they happen, sensing tremors through the water. Long before seismographs register the first signs of geological disturbance, fish throughout the ocean begin responding to vibrations too subtle for human instruments to detect. Their lateral line system, a network of sensitive organs running along their sides, can pick up pressure waves and water movements so minute that they reveal the Earth's restless stirring deep beneath the seafloor. Japanese researchers have documented unusual fish behavior days before major earthquakes, with deep-sea species rising to unusual depths and normally calm fish displaying agitated swimming patterns. This seismic sensitivity serves fish well in their underwater world, where underwater landslides, volcanic activity, and shifting seafloor can create dangerous conditions. Their ability to sense these geological whispers allows them to move away from areas where the Earth is preparing to release its tensions, following ancient instincts that have kept their species safe through millions of years of planetary change. In their role as living earthquake detectors, fish remind us that the ocean and the solid Earth beneath it are intimately connected, and that life has evolved exquisitely sensitive ways to read the planet's moods and movements long before humans developed the technology to do the same. The largest fish in the ocean feeds on some of the smallest creatures in the sea. In the warm tropical waters, where sunlight penetrates deep into crystal blue depths, whale sharks glide with the gentle grace of underwater giants, their massive forms creating moving shadows across the seafloor below. These magnificent creatures, longer than school buses and weighing as much as 4 elephants, sustain their enormous bodies on a diet of tiny organisms barely visible to the human eye. They swim through the water with their cavernous mouths wide open, filtering millions of gallons of seawater through specialized gill rakers that trap plankton, small fish eggs, and microscopic crustaceans. This feeding strategy, called filter feeding, allows them to harvest the ocean's smallest inhabitants with remarkable efficiency, their huge mouths acting like living fishing nets that capture nutrition from the sea's invisible abundance. Despite their intimidating size, whale sharks are among the most peaceful creatures in the ocean, often allowing divers to swim alongside them as they go about their gentle business of filtering their microscopic meals. Their diet of tiny organisms requires them to process enormous volumes of water each day, making them living purification systems that help maintain the ocean's clarity and health, while sustaining their own massive bodies through the patient accumulation of countless tiny meals. Fish have been observed teaching their young important survival skills. In the protected shallows where young fish learn the skills they'll need for adult life, parents and experienced adults serve as underwater teachers, passing down knowledge that cannot be inherited through genes alone. Grouper mothers lead their juveniles on guided tours of the reef, showing them which crevices offer the best protection, which areas contain the most food, and which larger fish pose threats to be avoided. Young fish watch and imitate their elders, learning not just what to eat, but how to hunt efficiently, how to recognize different types of danger, and how to navigate the complex social hierarchies of reef life. Some fish schools function like underwater classrooms, with experienced adults positioning themselves at the edges to demonstrate proper responses to predators, while younger fish practice their escape maneuvers in the safety of the group's center. This learned behavior means that fish culture can evolve and change over time, with new techniques and knowledge spreading through populations as individuals discover better ways to survive and thrive in their environment. The ocean becomes not just a place where fish live, but a vast school where knowledge flows from generation to generation, ensuring that each new class of young fish enters adulthood equipped with the wisdom accumulated by their species over countless years of underwater experience. Some fish create music together, forming underwater orchestras in the depths. As darkness falls over coral reefs around the world, a symphony begins that few humans have ever heard. Fish of different species coordinate their calls to create complex acoustic landscapes that can be heard for miles through the water. Drumfish produce deep, resonant booms with their swim bladders, creating the bass line for these oceanic concerts. Croaking fish add mid-range tones, while smaller species contribute higher-pitched calls that weave through the deeper sounds like underwater wind instruments. These evening choruses serve multiple purposes. They help fish locate suitable mates, establish territorial boundaries, and maintain contact with their schools in the darkness. The timing of these musical science is remarkably precise, with different species taking turns so their calls don't interfere with each other, creating natural orchestration that would impress any human composer. Scientists have discovered that healthy reefs produce richer, more complex soundscapes than damaged ones, making these fish concerts indicators of ecosystem health. The music varies with the seasons, building to crescendos during spawning times and settling into quieter melodies during periods of rest and recovery. In creating these collaborative compositions, fish demonstrate that music exists throughout nature as a form of communication more ancient and universal than human language, flowing through the ocean's depths as a constant reminder that even in the quietest waters, life is always singing. The ocean's gentle giants have hearts that beat just once every 10 seconds. In the deepest trenches, where pressure creates a world of perpetual calm, the massive hearts of great white sharks beat with a rhythm so slow, it seems almost meditative. These apex predators, despite their fearsome reputation, live their lives at a pace that mirrors the ocean's own unhurried breath. Their hearts, some as large as watermelons, pump blood through their bodies with deliberate, powerful strokes that can be felt rather than heard. This slow heartbeat is perfectly matched to their cruising lifestyle, allowing them to glide through their underwater domain with minimal energy expenditure. When they need to accelerate for hunting, their heart rate can increase dramatically, but during their peaceful patrols through blue water, they maintain this zen-like cardiac rhythm that seems to sync with the ocean's deepest currents. Marine biologists studying these creatures often describe feeling their own breathing slow when listening to shark heartbeats through hydrophones, as if the ocean itself is teaching them the value of moving through life with patient, powerful purpose. In their unhurried cardiac rhythm, these great fish embody the ocean's own lesson that true strength often comes not from frantic activity, but from the steady, unstoppable persistence of slow, deep power. Fish can remember their friends' faces for years, forming social bonds that span decades. In the complex neighborhoods of coral reefs, where thousands of individuals navigate daily social interactions, fish have developed remarkable abilities to recognize and remember their companions across years of shared underwater life. Cleaner wrasses can distinguish between hundreds of different client fish, remembering not just their appearance, but their preferences, their usual cleaning spots, and their individual behavioral quirks. Some groupers have been observed maintaining friendships with the same moray eels for over a decade. their hunting partnerships growing more sophisticated and efficient as the years pass. Butterfly fish pairs that have been together for many seasons develop such synchronized swimming that they move like mirror images of each other, their bond visible in every graceful turn through the coral gardens they call home. This social memory extends beyond simple recognition to complex emotional relationships, with fish showing signs of grief when long-term companions disappear, and excitement when old friends return after periods of separation. Young fish learn to navigate their social world by watching these long-term relationships, understanding that the reef community is built not on temporary encounters, but on enduring connections that can last entire lifetimes. In their capacity for lasting friendship, fish remind us that the ocean's communities are held together by invisible threads of recognition, memory, and affection that create underwater societies as complex and meaningful as any found on land. The ancient art of fish navigation relies on magnetic maps invisible to human senses. Beneath the ocean's surface flows an invisible network of magnetic highways that fish have been following for millions of years, their bodies equipped with natural compasses more sensitive than any human-made instrument. Salmon returning to their birth streams can detect magnetic field variations so subtle that they create detailed maps in the fish's memory, allowing them to navigate thousands of miles of seemingly featureless ocean to find the exact creek where their lives began. Sea turtles, while not fish themselves, share the ocean with fish that use similar magnetic navigation, creating underwater traffic patterns that follow Earth's magnetic contours, like aerial highways for submarines. Young fish inherit this magnetic sensitivity, their bodies containing tiny crystals of magnetite that function as living compass needles, always pointing toward magnetic north and responding to the planet's magnetic field variations. This magnetic map is layered with other navigation tools: the angle of sunlight filtering through water, the chemical signatures of different water masses, the sound patterns of waves breaking on distant shores, and the gravitational pull of the moon and sun affecting tidal flows. Together, these natural navigation systems allow fish to traverse vast ocean basins with precision that rivals satellite GPS, following routes passed down through generations of travelers who have never needed charts or instruments to find their way through the blue vastness of their underwater world. Fish sleep in schools, taking turns as sentries to protect their dreaming companions. In the gentle rhythm of underwater night, schooling fish have developed one of nature's most sophisticated security systems, where sleep becomes a community activity requiring trust and cooperation. As darkness settles over the reef, large schools of fish arrange themselves in protective formations, with some individuals remaining alert while others enter their restful state. The wakeful fish position themselves around the perimeter of the group, their eyes scanning the water for approaching predators, while their companions drift in the peaceful semi-consciousness that serves as fish sleep. Throughout the night, these sentinel duties rotate, with rested fish taking over guard duty, while the previous watchers finally allow themselves to relax into their own restorative rest. This system ensures that the school is never completely vulnerable, with fresh, alert eyes always monitoring their underwater environment for signs of danger. The sleeping fish hover motionless in the water column, their breathing slowed, their responses dulled, but their position within the protective embrace of their community allows them to achieve the deep rest they need. Some schools create such tight formations during sleep that they resemble underwater clouds, hundreds of individual fish floating together in perfect trust, their collective security allowing each member to find peace in the knowledge that others are watching over their dreams. The colors fish see paint their underwater world in spectrums beyond human imagination. Swimming through their aquatic realm, fish experience a visual landscape rich with colors and patterns completely invisible to human eyes. Their vision adapted to read the ocean's hidden chromatic language. Many fish can see ultraviolet light, revealing patterns on their companions' scales that serve as identification markers, mood indicators, and social signals in a visual communication system more complex than any human art form. The coral reef, already spectacular to human vision, becomes an even more magnificent display when viewed through fish eyes capable of detecting polarized light, creating three-dimensional visual effects that help them navigate through complex coral formations and detect the subtle movements of transparent prey. Some deep-sea fish have evolved eyes sensitive to the faintest bioluminescent glows, allowing them to read the living constellation of light-producing creatures in the midnight depths, like astronomers studying stars in an underwater galaxy. This enhanced color vision serves practical purposes. Predators use it to spot camouflaged prey. Prey animals use it to detect approaching danger, and social species use it for complex communication that turns their bodies into living signboards visible only to those with eyes adapted to read them. The ocean that appears blue and green to human vision becomes, through fish eyes, a kaleidoscope of colors and patterns that create an underwater world more visually rich and complex than any human artist has ever imagined, where every surface tells stories written in light wavelengths we cannot perceive. Fish can predict weather changes days before storms arrive, reading atmospheric pressure through the water. Long before meteorologists detect the first signs of approaching weather systems, fish throughout the ocean begin responding to atmospheric pressure changes transmitted through their aquatic environment with sensitivity that puts modern forecasting to shame. Their swim bladders, the gas-filled organs that control buoyancy, act as natural barometers that compress and expand in response to air pressure changes far above the water's surface. Deep-sea fish have been observed rising towards shallower waters days before major storms, their pressure-sensitive bodies detecting the atmospheric disturbances that precede severe weather events. Shallow water fish alter their feeding patterns and seek deeper shelter as their internal pressure sensors warn them of coming turbulence. This weather prediction ability has evolved over millions of years as a survival adaptation, allowing fish to prepare for the underwater chaos that storms create through massive wave action, changing water temperatures, and altered current patterns. Fishermen in traditional culture have long observed these behavioral changes, using fish activity as their own weather forecasting system. Generations before modern meteorology developed the tools to track approaching storms. In their role as living barometers, fish demonstrate that the ocean and atmosphere are intimately connected systems, with pressure waves and energy patterns flowing between air and water in ways that marine life has learned to read like an ancient weather language written in the subtle movements of molecules above and below the sea's surface. Some fish create underwater gardens, cultivating algae with the same care as human farmers. In the sun-dappled shallows where light penetrates to nourish underwater plant life, certain fish species have developed agricultural practices that rival any human farming system, in their sophistication and care. Damselfish clear specific areas of reef, removing competing algae species and debris to create pristine growing conditions for their preferred food plants, then defend these underwater gardens with the fierce dedication of territorial farmers protecting their crops. They weed their plots regularly, removing invasive species that might compete with their cultivated algae, and even fertilize their gardens with their own waste, creating nutrient-rich growing conditions that produce abundant harvests of their favorite foods. Some species have learned to rotate their grazing patterns, allowing sections of their gardens to recover while feeding from other areas, demonstrating an understanding of sustainable harvesting that prevents overexploitation of their food sources. These fish farmers pass their agricultural knowledge to their offspring, teaching young fish how to select the best growing sites, how to maintain optimal conditions for algae growth, and how to time their harvesting for maximum yield. The result is underwater landscapes that show clear evidence of cultivation and care, with distinct boundaries between wild reef areas and the carefully tended plots that serve as these fishes' personal food production systems, turning sections of the coral reef into aquatic agricultural zones, where marine life has discovered the benefits of farming thousands of years before humans developed similar practices on land. Fish have been observed mourning their dead in rituals that suggest deep emotional lives. In the quiet moments when loss touches the underwater community, some fish display behaviors that speak to emotional depths we are only beginning to understand. Their responses to death, revealing inner lives more complex than their peaceful exterior might suggest. Pilot whales, though mammals, share the ocean with fish that show similar mourning behaviors when members of their schools die, gathering around the deceased and swimming in slow, circular patterns that resemble aquatic funeral processions. Some groupers have been seen returning repeatedly to spots where their long-term partners died, hovering motionlessly in these underwater memorial sites for days at a time, their behavior suggesting a form of grief that transcends simple confusion or disorientation. Parrotfish that lose their lifelong mates often change their feeding patterns and social behaviors, becoming solitary and withdrawn in ways that mirror human responses to profound loss. Young fish that lose their parents may be adopted by other adults in the community, but they often display behavioral changes that suggest they understand something fundamental has changed in their world. These observations challenge our assumptions about fish consciousness and emotion, suggesting that beneath their serene swimming lies an emotional landscape capable of loss, memory, and something resembling what humans call grief. In their responses to death, fish reveal that the capacity for deep feeling may be far more widespread in the animi, or kingdom, than we previously imagined, flowing through the ocean's depths like an invisible current of empathy and connection that binds marine communities together through both joy and sorrow. The oldest fish fossils reveal creatures that would be perfectly at home in today's oceans. In the prehistoric seas that covered much of our planet hundreds of millions of years ago, fish swam whose basic body plans were so perfectly adapted to aquatic life that their descendants today remain virtually unchanged from their ancient ancestors. Sharks, in particular, have maintained their essential design for over 400 million years. Their streamlined forms and efficient predatory systems proving so successful that evolution has seen little need for major modifications. These ancient swimmers navigated seas where the first forests were just beginning to grow on land, their fins cutting through waters that witnessed the rise and fall of countless species while they continued their patrol of the depths. Fossil evidence shows that the fundamental patterns of fish behavior, social organization, and ecological relationships were established in these primordial oceans, creating templates for marine life that continue to govern underwater communities today. The coelacanth, once thought extinct for millions of years until living specimens were discovered in the 20th century, represents a direct link to these ancient seas, its body virtually identical to fossils found in rocks that predate the dinosaurs. In their evolutionary stability, fish demonstrate that some solutions to the challenges of life are so elegant and effective that they transcend time itself, carrying forward through hundreds of millions of years the same graceful adaptations that allowed their ancestors to thrive in Earth's earliest oceans, making every fish we see today a living representative of life's most enduring success story. Fish can recognize their own reflections, but they also recognize the reflections of their closest friends. In the clear waters, where sunlight creates natural mirrors on the sandy bottom, some fish have demonstrated an ability that goes beyond simple self-recognition to something approaching social awareness through reflection. When placed near mirrors, certain rasa species not only examine their own appearance, but also show recognition when they see familiar companions reflected alongside them. They respond differently to mirrors showing unknown fish versus those displaying their regular social partners, suggesting they maintain mental images of their friends' appearances, detailed enough to recognize them even in the distorted world of underwater reflections. This recognition extends to remembering absent friends, with fish showing signs of excitement when mirrors are positioned to reflect the approach of companions they haven't seen for extended periods. The ability to recognize others through reflection requires a sophisticated understanding of how mirrors work, combined with detailed visual memory and emotional attachment to specific individuals. In their recognition of familiar faces in reflected light, these fish reveal cognitive abilities that bridge the gap between simple awareness and complex social intelligence, turning the ocean's natural mirrors into windows that reflect not just physical appearance, but the deep bonds that connect marine communities. Some fish create underwater music by drumming on their swim bladders like living percussion instruments. As evening approaches over coral reefs and coastal waters, a rhythmic symphony begins that transforms the quiet underwater world into a concert hall of biological percussion. Fish from multiple species coordinate their sounds to create complex rhythmic patterns, their swim bladders serving as resonating chambers that can produce everything from deep bass drums to higher-pitched tapping sounds. Toadfish create booming calls so loud they can be heard above the water's surface, their swim bladders contracting and expanding with the precision of timpani drums in an orchestra. Croaking gourami adds staccato beats to the underwater rhythm section, while various drumfish species contribute rolling patterns that build and fade like distant thunder beneath the waves. These percussion concerts serve multiple functions beyond simple communication, with the rhythmic patterns helping fish maintain school cohesion in dark water and creating acoustic landmarks that help individuals navigate back to their home territories. The timing of these musical sessions changes with the seasons, building to crescendos during breeding periods and settling into gentler rhythms during times of rest and recovery. Marine biologists have discovered that fish can modify their drumming patterns in response to ocean noise pollution, adjusting their rhythms to maintain communication effectiveness despite interference from human activities, demonstrating a musical flexibility that allows them to preserve their acoustic culture even as their underwater world changes around them. Fish tears exist, though they flow invisibly into the surrounding water. In the emotional moments that touch marine life, fish produce chemical signals that serve similar functions to mammalian tears, though these invisible expressions of feeling dissolve immediately into the water around them. Stress hormones released through their gills and skin create chemical signatures that other fish can detect, allowing them to recognize when members of their community are experiencing distress, fear, or other intense emotions. Young fish separated from their parents release specific chemical distress signals that function like underwater crying, alerting nearby adults to their need for protection and care. Some species produce different chemical signatures for different emotional states, creating an invisible language of feeling that flows through the water like dissolved messages of joy, fear, excitement, and contentment. These chemical tears serve important social functions, helping fish communities respond appropriately to each other's emotional needs and maintaining the empathetic connections that hold marine societies together. When fish experience the loss of long-term companions, their chemical outputs change in ways that suggest something analogous to grief. Their invisible tears carrying messages of sorrow that other fish can sense and respond to with increased social attention and care. In their chemical expression of emotion, fish remind us that feeling flows through the ocean like an invisible current, connecting all marine life through shared experiences of joy and sorrow that unite them in ways deeper than sight or sound. The migration patterns of fish create underwater highways that have remained unchanged for millions of years. Beneath the ocean's seemingly uniform surface run ancient pathways carved not in stone, but in water itself. Routes so precisely defined by magnetic fields, temperature gradients, and chemical signatures that fish have followed them through countless generations without deviation. These marine highways connect distant feeding grounds to spawning areas, creating a transportation network that spans entire ocean basins with the reliability of terrestrial roads. Arctic char follow routes established when glaciers still covered much of North America, their migrations tracing paths that have remained constant even as continents shifted and sea levels changed around them. Bluefin tuna traverse the Pacific along corridors marked by subtle variations in water chemistry and magnetic field strength, TT. Hair journeys following the same general paths their ancestors swam when the ocean's geography was entirely different from today. These migration routes serve as underwater time capsules, preserving ancient navigation knowledge in the bodies and behaviors of fish, whose internal compasses continue to point toward destinations their species has sought for millions of years. The precision of these routes is so exact that individual fish can return to spawning grounds they visited only once in their youth, following highway markers invisible to human senses but clear as road signs to creatures equipped with the proper biological navigation systems. In their faithful adherence to these ancient pathways, migrating fish maintain living connections between distant parts of the ocean, their journeys weaving together far-flung marine ecosystems into a single interconnected web of life. Fish have been observed playing games with each other, engaging in activities that serve no survival purpose beyond pure enjoyment. In the protected waters of coral reefs and sheltered lagoons, young fish and even some adults engage in behaviors that can only be described as play, their actions serving no apparent function beyond the simple pleasure of movement and social interaction. Juvenile fish create games of chase that involve complex rules about boundaries and safe zones, with participants clearly understanding when they are playing versus when they are engaged in serious territorial disputes or predator avoidance. Some species play a form of underwater tag, with one fish designated as it and chasing others until physical contact transfers the role to a new player, their game continuing for extended periods with obvious enjoyment from all participants. Fish have been seen playing with objects in their environment, pushing shells or small rocks around in patterns that suggest curiosity and experimentation, rather than any practical purpose. Group games involving synchronized swimming patterns emerge spontaneously among schools of young fish, their movements creating underwater ballets that serve no function beyond the apparent pleasure of coordinated motion with their peers. These play behaviors often incorporate elements of adult activities like hunting or territory defense, but in exaggerated, non-threatening forms that suggest the fish understand the difference between practice and play. The existence of play in fish challenges our assumptions about the complexity of their emotional lives, suggesting that the capacity for joy, curiosity, and pure fun extends far beyond mammals and birds into the underwater realm, where even the simplest creatures may experience something analogous to happiness in its most basic form. Some fish species have developed underwater sign language, using fin movements and body positions to communicate complex messages. In the crystal clear waters where visual communication is possible across significant distances, certain fish have evolved elaborate gestural languages that rival any human sign system in their complexity and precision. Groupers use specific combinations of fin positions, body angles, and swimming patterns to coordinate hunting strategies with moray eels, their underwater sign language conveying detailed information about prey location, escape routes, and timing for coordinated attacks. Cleaner wrasses have developed a visual vocabulary of body postures and fin movements that communicate different service offerings to their clients, with specific gestures indicating whether they're prepared to remove parasites, dead skin, or provide other specialized cleaning services. Some territorial fish species use complex sequences of fin displays and body positioning to negotiate boundary disputes without resorting to physical confrontation, their sign language allowing them to resolve conflicts through visual communication rather than energy-expensive fighting. Young fish learn these gestural languages by watching adult interactions, practicing the movements until they can participate fully in their community's visual communication system. The sophistication of these underwater sign languages suggests that fish possess cognitive abilities capable of abstract symbol use, with specific movements representing concepts, intentions, and even emotional states that can be clearly understood by other members of their species. In their development of visual communication systems, fish demonstrate that language itself may be a more fundamental aspect of intelligence than previously thought, existing in forms that don't require vocal cords or complex brain structures, but can emerge wherever creatures need to share complex information across the barriers of their environment. Fish memory extends far beyond the 3-second myth, with some species remembering complex information for years. In controlled studies that have revolutionized our understanding of fish cognition, researchers have documented memory capabilities in fish that rival those of many mammals, with some species retaining learned information for months or even years after initial exposure. Goldfish, despite their reputation for forgetfulness, can be trained to navigate complex mazes and remember the solutions for over 3 months, their performance improving with practice in ways that demonstrate not just memory, but learning and problem-solving abilities. Salmon returning to their natal streams after years in the ocean remember not just the general location, but specific details about water chemistry, current patterns, and even individual rocks and fallen trees that mark their juvenile territories. Cleaner fish remember the preferences and schedules of hundreds of different clients, recalling not just what services each species prefers, but which individual fish within those species have special needs or behavioral quirks that require customized attention. Some reef fish can remember the locations of food sources discovered months earlier, returning to productive foraging sites, even after long periods of absence, their spatial memory creating detailed mental maps of their territories that persist through seasonal changes and environmental modifications. This extended memory capacity allows fish to build complex knowledge bases about their environment, social relationships, and survival strategies, accumulating wisdom over their lifetimes that makes older, more experienced fish valuable leaders and teachers within their communities, their memories serving as living libraries of information that benefit entire populations of marine life. Oh, the healing abilities of fish surpass those of many other vertebrates, with some species capable of regenerating entire organs. In the quiet recovery periods that follow injury or illness, fish demonstrate regenerative powers that seem almost magical in their scope and efficiency, their bodies equipped with biological repair systems that can rebuild complex structures from scratch. Some fish can regenerate damaged heart tissue, growing new cardiac muscle cells to replace areas destroyed by injury or disease, a capability that has captured the attention of medical researchers seeking treatments for human heart conditions. Zebrafish can regenerate entire fins within weeks of amputation, the new appendages growing back with perfect form and function, complete with bones, muscles, nerves, and blood vessels arranged in precisely the same patterns as the originals. Certain species can regenerate damaged portions of their spinal cords, recovering full mobility after injuries that would cause permanent paralysis in mammals, their nervous systems demonstrating a plasticity and regenerative capacity that challenges our understanding of vertebrate neurology. This remarkable healing ability extends to internal organs, with some fish capable of regenerating portions of their livers, kidneys, and even brain tissue when damaged by injury or disease. The regeneration process appears to be guided by genetic programs that remain dormant in adult fish until activated by injury, suggesting that the capacity for extensive self-repair is built into their basic biological architecture. In their ability to heal and regenerate, fish offer insights into the fundamental mechanisms of biological repair that could potentially be applied to human medicine. Their quiet recovery processes hiding sophisticated cellular machinery that turns the ocean into a vast laboratory of natural healing, where life continuously repairs and renews itself. Fish communities practice forms of democracy, making group decisions through collective behavior patterns. In the complex social dynamics of schooling fish, decisions about where to feed, when to move, and how to respond to threats emerge through democratic processes that give every individual a voice in determining the group's actions. When schools encounter obstacles or opportunities, individual fish cast their votes through body position and swimming direction, with the collective choice emerging from the sum of these individual preferences rather than from the commands of a single leader. Studies of fish schools have revealed that these democratic decision-making processes often produce better outcomes than leadership-based systems, with the collective intelligence of the group identifying optimal solutions that individual fish might miss. During feeding decisions, fish schools use a form of consensus building where scouts explore different options and report back through behavioral signals, allowing the entire group to evaluate alternatives before committing to a particular course of action. The democratic nature of these decisions means that even the smallest fish in a school can influence group behavior, their individual preferences contributing to collective choices that affect the entire community. This democratic decision-making extends to conflict resolution, with fish communities often using collective behavior to mediate disputes between individuals. The group's response serving as a form of social pressure that encourages cooperative behavior and discourages excessive aggression. In their practice of underwater democracy, fish demonstrate that collective intelligence and group decision-making may be fundamental aspects of social behavior that emerge naturally wherever creatures must coordinate their actions for mutual benefit, creating societies where every voice matters and collective wisdom guides community choices. Some fish have been observed using tools not just for feeding, but for home construction and decoration. In the shallow waters where creativity meets necessity, certain fish species have developed tool use that extends far beyond simple feeding applications to complex construction projects that rival the architectural achievements of any land animal. Jawfish use their mouths to carefully select and transport shells, small rocks, and coral fragments to line their burrows, creating comfortable living spaces with the same attention to detail that birds use when building nests. Some wrasse species have learned to use sea urchin spines as tools for extracting food from tight crevices, but they also use similar implements to modify their territories, moving obstacles and rearranging environmental features to create more favorable living conditions. Certain damselfish collect specific types of algae, not just for food, but as building materials, weaving them into structures that provide shelter and camouflage for their eggs and young. The tool use extends to aesthetic choices that seem to serve no survival function beyond personal preference, with some fish selecting decorative materials based on color, texture, or other qualities that suggest an appreciation for beauty that transcends purely practical considerations. Young fish learn these construction techniques by watching experienced adults, the knowledge passing through generations as cultural traditions that vary between different populations of the same species. In their sophisticated tool use for construction and decoration, these fish reveal cognitive abilities that include planning, aesthetic judgment, and cultural transmission, turning their underwater territories into carefully crafted living spaces that reflect both practical needs and individual creativity. The social hierarchies of fish communities operate on principles of respect and reciprocity rather than simple dominance. In the complex neighborhoods of coral reefs and schooling fish communities, social order emerges through systems of mutual recognition and reciprocal benefit, that create stability without oppression, their underwater societies functioning according to principles that emphasize cooperation over conflict. Large groupers, despite their size and strength, often defer to smaller, cleaner fish during grooming sessions. Their temporary submission to tiny service providers, demonstrating a social system based on specialized roles rather than physical dominance. School hierarchies form based on experience and knowledge rather than aggression, with older fish earning leadership positions through their ability to guide the group to food sources and safety, rather than through displays of force or intimidation. These social systems include complex protocols for conflict resolution, with fish communities using ritualized displays, mediation by neutral parties, and even temporary separation periods to resolve disputes without resorting to harmful aggression. The respect shown between different species sharing the same territory creates interdependent relationships where each group's success contributes to the overall health of the community. Their social contracts maintaining peaceful coexistence through mutual benefit rather than competitive exclusion. Fish societies also demonstrate principles of social justice, with stronger individuals often sharing prime feeding locations with weaker community members and group responses that protect vulnerable individuals from predation or harassment. In their creation of respectful, reciprocal social systems, fish communities offer models of underwater civilization that emphasize cooperation, mutual aid, and collective well-being as the foundations of stable, peaceful societies where every member has a role to play and a contribution to make. Fish can experience something analogous to dreaming, their brain patterns during rest resembling those of dreaming mammals. In the quiet hours when fish enter their restful state, advanced monitoring equipment reveals brain activity patterns that mirror the neural signatures associated with dreaming in higher vertebrates, suggesting that the sleeping minds of fish may be filled with their own versions of underwater dreams. Zebrafish studied in laboratory conditions show rapid eye movements and specific neural firing patterns during rest periods that correspond to the brain states associated with dream sleep in mammals and birds, their resting minds apparently processing the day's experiences through subconscious mental activity. The content of these potential fish dreams remains a mystery, but the neural patterns suggest they may involve memory consolidation, with sleeping fish potentially reliving their daily experiences of feeding, social interaction, and territory navigation in ways that help strengthen important memories and integrate new learning. Some sleeping fish display subtle movements of their fins and bodies that appear to mirror swimming motions, as if their dreaming minds are continuing to navigate through underwater landscapes, even while their bodies rest motionless in their sleeping spots. The discovery of dreamlike brain states in fish adds another layer to our understanding of their inner lives, suggesting that the boundaries between waking and sleeping consciousness may be more fluid in the underwater world than on land. If fish do dream, their sleeping minds may be filled with images of coral gardens, schools of companions, the play of light through water, and the endless dance of currents that defines their waking world. Their dreams creating inner sanctuaries where memory, hope, and experience blend into the peaceful rhythms of underwater sleep. In the deepest trenches where pressure creates a world of absolute stillness, some fish have discovered the secret of eternal youth through the slowest possible way of living. Deep-sea fish in the abyssal plains move so slowly and deliberately that their metabolisms operate at rates barely detectable by scientific instruments. their hearts beating perhaps once every few minutes, their breathing so shallow it seems they hover on the edge between life and suspended animation. This extreme slow-motion existence allows them to stretch their lifespans far beyond what surface fish experience, some species potentially living for centuries in their high-pressure sanctuaries. Their movements are so gradual that time-lapse photography is required to capture their feeding behaviors. Their bodies drift, ting through the darkness, like living meditation masters who have learned that the secret to longevity lies in embracing the ocean's deepest rhythms. These ancient fish inhabit a world where urgency has no meaning, where every action unfolds with the patience of geological time, their existence proving that in the ocean's most extreme environments, life finds ways to persist by slowing down to match the eternal pulse of the deep. Fish can sense the emotional states of their companions through chemical signals more sophisticated than any human perfume. In the invisible atmosphere of dissolved molecules that surrounds every fish, complex chemical conversations flow continuously between individuals, creating an underwater network of emotional communication that connects entire communities through shared feelings and experiences. When one fish experiences stress, fear, or excitement, specific hormone signatures released through their gills create chemical clouds that other fish can interpret with remarkable precision. Their bodies equipped with receptors sensitive enough to detect emotional changes in their neighbors from significant distances. Mother fish release calming pheromones that help their offspring feel secure in dangerous waters, while territorial males broadcast confidence signals that establish their status without the need for physical confrontation. These chemical emotions flow through schools like invisible currents, with the mood of individual fish influencing the emotional climate of entire groups, creating collective states of calm, excitement, or alertness that help communities respond appropriately to changing conditions. During spawning seasons, fish release complex chemical cocktails that communicate not just reproductive readiness, but emotional compatibility, allowing potential partners to assess each other's suitability through sophisticated molecular matchmaking that operates below the level of conscious awareness. In their ability to share emotions through chemistry, fish create underwater communities bound together by invisible threads of feeling, their chemical conversations weaving networks of empathy and understanding that flow through the water like liquid emotion connecting every member of their aquatic society. Some fish possess internal compass systems so precise they can navigate by feeling the Earth's magnetic field, variations down to microscopic levels. Deep within their bodies, fish carry tiny crystals of magnetite arranged in patterns that function as living compass needles, their magnetic sensors detecting field variations so subtle that human instruments struggle to measure them with comparable precision. These biological compasses don't just point toward magnetic north, but can distinguish between different magnetic signatures created by underwater mountain ranges, deep ocean trenches, and even the magnetic fields generated by different types of rock formations on the seafloor. Young fish inherit this magnetic sensitivity from their parents, their nervous systems already calibrated to read the invisible magnetic landscape that surrounds them, turning the entire ocean into a three-dimensional map written in magnetic field lines. During long migrations, fish use this magnetic sense to maintain course even when visual landmarks disappear and current patterns change, their internal compasses guiding them along routes marked by magnetic waypoints that remain constant across years and decades. The precision of these magnetic navigation systems allows fish to return to specific locations after journeys spanning thousands of miles, their bodies reading magnetic signatures like postal addresses that lead them home through the vast expanses of seemingly uniform blue water. In their mastery of magnetic navigation, fish demonstrate that the ocean is filled with invisible highways, marked by forces we can barely detect. Their journeys following routes written in the planet's own magnetic memory. The songs that fish create together form underwater symphonies that change with the seasons, like natural calendars marking time. As the year progresses through its cycle of abundance and scarcity, warmth and cooling, the acoustic landscape of fish communities transforms in response to seasonal rhythms that have remained constant for millions of years. Spring brings tentative melodies as fish emerge from winter's quiet period, their calls gradually building in complexity and frequency as warming waters trigger increased activity and the first stirrings of reproductive behavior. Summer choruses reach crescendos of sound that can be heard for miles through the water, with multiple species coordinating their calls to create layered compositions that celebrate the season of plenty with underwater festivals of sound. Autumn songs carry different tones, more subdued melodies that seem to acknowledge the approaching quieter months. Fish voices creating harmonies that speak of preparation and the wisdom of conserving energy for the challenges ahead. Winter brings the most subtle music, with only the most essential calls breaking the seasonal silence. Fish communities settling into acoustic rhythms that mirror the ocean's own seasonal breathing. These seasonal song cycles serve as living calendars that help fish communities coordinate their activities with natural rhythms, their musical traditions carrying information about optimal timing for spawning, feeding, and migration that has been refined through countless generations of underwater composers. Fish have been observed engaging in artistic behavior, creating patterns and arrangements in their environment that serve no survival purpose beyond aesthetic expression. In the sandy flats and coral gardens where fish make their homes, some species engage in creative activities that can only be described as underwater art, their behaviors suggesting an appreciation for beauty that transcends purely functional considerations. Pufferfish males create intricate circular patterns in sand, working for days to perfect geometric designs that serve as both nesting sites and artistic expressions. Their creations displaying mathematical precision and aesthetic sensibility that rivals human mandala art. Some rasa species arrange shells, coral fragments, and colorful objects in patterns around their nests, our territories, continuously rearranging these displays in ways that suggest personal aesthetic preferences rather than territorial markers or practical functionality. Bowerbird fish, if such creatures existed, would be rivaled by certain damselfish that collect specific types of algae and arrange them in visually pleasing patterns, their underwater gardens showing clear evidence of design choices based on color coordination and visual balance. Young fish often participate in these artistic activities, learning aesthetic principles alongside practical survival skills. Their participation in creative expression suggesting that the appreciation of beauty may be a fundamental aspect of consciousness that extends throughout the animal kingdom. These artistic behaviors challenge our understanding of fish intelligence and emotion, suggesting that beneath their practical exterior lies a capacity for creative expression that transforms their underwater territories into galleries where function and beauty combine in harmonious displays of aquatic artistry. The memory palaces that fish create in their minds contain detailed maps of their territories, more accurate than any human-drawn chart. Within the complex neural networks of fish brains, spatial information is organized into mental structures that function like three-dimensional libraries, where every rock formation, current pattern, and territorial boundary is catalogued with precision that allows instant recall of environmental details. These mental maps include not just physical features, but temporal information about how their territories change throughout daily and seasonal cycles. Fish memories incorporating data about tide patterns, feeding schedules, and the movement patterns of both prey and predators. Older fish carry mental maps that span decades of environmental observation. That's their memories serving as living archives of how their territories have changed over time, including information about storm damage, coral growth, and shifts in current patterns that younger fish have never experienced. The accuracy of these mental maps allows fish to navigate their territories in complete darkness or murky water, their spatial memory providing detailed guidance that compensates for limited visibility in challenging conditions. Fish can also share spatial information with their offspring and companions through behavioral demonstrations, their mental maps becoming community resources that help entire groups navigate complex environments more effectively. In their creation of detailed mental maps, fish demonstrate spatial memory capabilities that rival those of any terrestrial animal, their minds containing underwater atlases that capture the dynamic, ever-changing nature of their aquatic world with precision and detail that reflects both individual experience and collective wisdom accumulated over generations of careful observation. Some fish experience emotions so complex they include what appears to be anticipation, disappointment, and even hope for future events. In carefully controlled laboratory studies that have revolutionized our understanding of fish psychology, researchers have documented emotional responses in fish that mirror the complex feelings we associate with higher consciousness, their behaviors suggesting inner lives, rich with expectation, memory, and emotional investment in future outcomes. Fish trained to expect feeding at specific times show clear signs of anticipation as those times approach, their behavior patterns changing in ways that indicate emotional excitement rather than simple conditioned responses, their body's language expressing what can only be described as eager expectation. When expected rewards fail to materialize, these same fish display behavioral changes consistent with disappointment, their activity levels dropping, and their interactions with their environment becoming subdued in ways that parallel emotional letdown in more complex animals. Most remarkably, fish that have learned to associate certain environmental cues with positive outcomes continue to respond to those cues with apparent hope even after long periods without reinforcement, their persistence suggesting an emotional investment in positive possibilities that extends beyond immediate circumstances. These complex emotional states appear to involve memory, expectation, and the ability to imagine future scenarios. Cognitive abilities once thought to be limited to mammals and birds, but now recognized as flowing through underwater communities, where fish experience rich inner lives filled with emotional complexity. In their capacity for anticipation, disappointment, and hope, Fish reveal that consciousness itself may be far more widespread and sophisticated in the animal kingdom than humans have ever imagined, their emotional lives adding depth and meaning to existence beneath the waves. The healing powers that fish possess extend beyond physical regeneration to include the ability to recover from psychological trauma through community support systems. When fish experience traumatic events such as predator attacks, territory loss, or separation from long-term companions, their recovery involves not just physical healing, but psychological restoration, facilitated by the supportive behaviors of their community members. Fish that have survived predator encounters often display behavioral changes consistent with what humans might recognize as post-traumatic stress, showing increased vigilance, altered feeding patterns, and changes in social interaction that persist long after their physical wounds have healed. However, fish communities have developed sophisticated support systems that help traumatized individuals recover their psychological equilibrium through gentle social reintegration, protective behaviors from group members, and gradual exposure to normal activities that rebuild confidence and social connections. Cleaner fish provide not just physical grooming, but what appears to be therapeutic contact that helps stressed individuals relax and reconnect with their social environment. Their gentle attention serving psychological as well as physical healing functions. Schools often modify their behavior to accommodate traumatized members, swimming more slowly, choosing safer routes, and providing extra protection until the affected individuals regain their normal behavioral patterns. This community-based psychological healing suggests that fish possess not only individual emotional complexity, but collective empathy that creates underwater support networks capable of helping community members recover from the psychological impacts of trauma. Their societies functioning as therapeutic communities where healing encompasses both body and mind. Fish dreams, if they exist, may include memories of currents never swum and places never seen, inherited through genetic memory that spans generations. In the mysterious realm of fish consciousness during rest periods, brain activity patterns suggest that sleeping fish may experience more than simple memory consolidation. Their neural activity potentially accessing ancestral memories encoded in their genetic material across millions of years of evolutionary history. Young fish sometimes display navigation behaviors toward destinations they have never visited, their movements suggesting they carry inherited maps of migration routes, feeding grounds, and safe havens passed down through generations of travelers who carved these paths through primordial seas. During sleep, these genetic memories may surface as dreamlike experiences where fish navigate through underwater landscapes shaped by ancestral knowledge, their sleeping minds potentially exploring territories known to their species but never personally experienced. The content of these inherited dream landscapes might include coral reefs from prehistoric eras, current patterns that existed when continents were differently arranged, and feeding grounds that disappeared beneath geological changes but remain preserved in genetic memory like underwater folk tales passed down through biological inheritance. If fish can access these ancestral memories during sleep, their dreams become windows into the deep history of their species, connecting individual consciousness to the collective memory of countless generations that swam before them. These genetic dreams would make every sleeping fish a living library of oceanic history. Their rest periods serving not just personal restoration, but connection to the vast temporal community of their ancestors, whose experiences continue to guide present-day navigation, feeding, and survival decisions through the mysterious channels of inherited memory. And now, as the gentle currents of these underwater stories begin to slow, let your thoughts drift like kelp swaying in the tide. We've journeyed together through coral gardens, where cleaner fish run their peaceful spas, past ancient sharks, whose hearts beat with the patience of centuries, and into the depths where bioluminescent creatures paint galaxies in the darkness. We've discovered fish that dream, fish that grieve, fish that create art in the sand, and fish whose memories span decades of oceanic wisdom. In every fact we've shared tonight, there's been a common thread flowing beneath the surface like a quiet current. The ocean is not empty space filled with swimming creatures, but a living community where intelligence, emotion, and connection flow in forms we're only beginning to understand. From the smallest dwarf goby navigating its coral universe to the largest whale shark filtering microscopic meals, each fish carries within itself millions of years of adaptation, memory, and quiet wisdom. These creatures that glide through their blue world with such serene grace are living libraries of oceanic knowledge, their scales recording personal histories, their minds holding maps more detailed than any chart, their communities bound together by invisible currents of communication, cooperation, and care. In their ancient rhythms and patient persistence, they remind us that the most profound truths often flow in silence, waiting to be discovered by those willing to look beneath the surface. So as you drift toward your own peaceful rest tonight, carry with you the memory of these underwater gardens where fish tend their algae farms, where partnerships span decades, where music flows through the depths, and where every creature, no matter how small, plays its part in the ocean's endless, gentle symphony. Sleep well and dream of coral gardens swaying in the current.